Morning everybody, and welcome to the International Revere Beach Sand Sculpting Festival. And we're ready to do our walkthroughs, but today we're going to do it a little bit differently. Dan and I are going to do it together. So we are at plot number 1. This is Matt Hazendam from the Netherlands. And now how many hours, Dan, do they have left?
Well, we're going to 1:30 and it's about, 9:30 now, so I guess... Yeah.
Okay, so they've got about 4 hours left. You're going to see some of them are farther along than others, so at some point they're going to have to decide what they're going to finish nicely and what they're not.
Yeah, it's really important right now because they only have a few hours left and they have to finish carving all the sand that we have given them. So you'll notice everybody's on their hands and knees today because they worked their way from the top down. And they still have, some of them still have a lot of work to do. Yeah. And Max's work is typical of the people from the Netherlands, the sculptors. It's very clean, and he won't quit on this thing until it's about perfect.
Yeah, this is a good example of cleaning and finishing off the piece because he is already doing groundwork. That's when they're down on their hands and knees. So you can see how clean this is. We're going to move on, and we'll take a look at the rest of them.
Plot number 2 here is Suitors and Patnaik from India. I had the opportunity to visit Suitors at his event this year, or last year, and he's doing an environmental piece on plastic here because they really have a problem over there in India with plastic in the waterways, on the beaches, in the cities. It's just piling up. And he's a one-man crusader over there. He's very important in India because he has taken a stand, and now he's really starting to get India cleaned up on the beaches and stuff, and it's really nice to have him here and to give us a little taste of what he goes through over there in India.
Yeah, it's coming along nicely too. I did make a comment yesterday that I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be King Neptune. And here he is. He has his Triton down there. And his message for this one, the name of his sculpture is Save Our Oceans, Stop Plastic Pollution. And I think us in the States here, we're right along with that. We are moving positively in that direction.
Yes, we have a better handle on it here in India, and in a lot of Asia it's almost out of control, and it's so important that there are people like Suitors doing this because it's choking up the oceans. I mean, it's so important for us.
And we thank him for it. Okay, Saugus, Massachusetts. And I'm not sure what she has going on yet. You do see she has a notebook down here. She has some reference with her. You'll see that some of the sculptors do use reference every now and then. You'll also notice that she's wearing earphones. You'll notice a lot of the sculptors do that. They like to get into the zone. She's also local, so she's lived here all her life, so she knows a lot of people, and they want to talk to her all day, and she can't get any work done. So she's going to be having her earphones on for a bit, I think. But she's doing what we call the blocking out right now, where you just kind of get the basic shape of what you're going to do, move a lot of sand, and then do detail after that.
Tons of sand, and this structural, I mean, that is hollowed out inside, and all we saw was his feet sticking out. We were terrified that we were going to have to pull him out.
I was a nervous wreck, but keep in mind these are professionals. Please don't anybody try that at the beach. No. They know what they're doing. They know how much sand to take out, where to take it out, but all sand does have its limits, so we're glad that is still standing, and Ungurun is on the outside of it instead of the inside.
But it's the little subtleties I like about this piece, because if I could point something out here, see these, there's nothing holding this here except water, and it's almost impossible that that stuff is just suspended out there by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wonder, Bob, if you can get a shot of this down here on the ground. I wonder if he was doing a test with the sand. It looks like it's the beach. I mean, it looks like our sand that's all dried out. So he might have done that a few days ago to test it before he actually did it on his competition piece. Okay, let's move on. Okay.
We're here at plot number 4 with Pavel from Moscow. We have 3 Russian artists here this year, and it's amazing that they're all trained at the same university in Moscow. And Pavel was telling me that they spent maybe a year on just faces alone with live models, and it shows the Russian guys can do such classical Michelangelo kind of pieces here. Yeah, the faces are so important on these pieces, and what he's captured here, and that little bit of movement and just emotion.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece so far. The name of his piece is The Birth of a New Universe, and you can see he had I'm interpreting it as, the galaxy that he's going. These are planets over here, and he will finish it off in something symbolic of planets, and mother and child of a new universe.
Yeah, and if you look at, all we have to work with here again is light and shadow. There's no color on these pieces, so you have to know how far to cut to make it show, and how far not to cut so it doesn't fall. And Pavel's really got a nice handle on how to make everything kind of separate and look really nice.
Yeah, well, he is a true professional. He's also won the last 2 years.
Yeah, he won 2 years in a row
yeah,
here, so
yeah.
Nobody's done that before, have they?
Oh yeah, Joby.
Oh, Joby did, yeah. That's true.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next spot.
Okay.
Here you can see more features in his. You can see the eyes and the eyebrows. It's kind of cool the way this is separated in the middle too. Aesthetically, it's very nice. You'll also notice that he has these green straps down here on the bottom form. And what that does is it prevents that bottom form from bowing out, and so he doesn't get any stress fractures in there.
Cool. I'll meet you one thing. I'll meet you next one.
Okay. Up. Once you lose the integrity of that pound up, it's almost impossible to put that kind of a collapse back on.
Yeah.
But she took advantage of the positioning of it and changed the title actually of the sculpture to make it make sense with her explanation of her sculpture.
Yeah, good point. And another point is that she would have loved to put that arm back, but it takes too much time.
Yeah,
And this is a timed event. You're going up against the best in the world, and she's got to move on and finish this thing.
Right. Yeah, that's, we were also talking about at some point they have to make decisions as to what to spend time on and what not to spend time. One of the categories is the usage of sand. So we give them that 12 tons of sand and we want them to use it. So
Yeah. Well, and another important is the finish. They have to finish
the quality
it.
of the carving, it needs to be, the same quality carving from start to finish. So, yeah, I think she made the right choice by not putting that, not attempting to put that back on.
And what Meredith meant by that is that sometimes they're so hurried at the end that it looks like somebody else finished the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to see that consistency throughout.
Yeah. All right, nice job. And I always like that. It's important in the judging criteria that they sculpt 360 as well. That is part of it. So we're going to take it's really cool. The light, you can see the light coming through. She's got the cut throughs in there already. We're going to go take a walk around the other side and see what's going on. Wasn't working as fast as he normally does because of the learning curve of the sand.
Yeah, we discussed this on day one. It's kind of unfortunate, but first timers here, they don't understand how good this sand is, and so they might design a piece that's for sand that is substantially weaker, and they wish they hadn't once they got here.
Yeah.
But that's all part of it. He's doing a good job. It looks like he's got the moons, and he's got
movement.
and a nice certain amount of difficulty, and
Nice movement.
but he's got a long way to go too.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and you see he's standing on a pile of sand that should at some point be incorporated into the sculpture.
Yes, and he is suitors and inlaid a little bit, but it's more noticeable on Benoit's piece. If you can see on this moon slice,
that's
so you see
intentional.
Yes, he's putting in the beach sand in it to give it a different texture, color effect.
Yeah, there's no rules that say they can't use the beach sand, and you saw Suda-san did a little bit of it. There's another one, actually the next sculpture we go to has a really good example of adding the beach sand.
Yeah, we don't add color, we don't add seashells, we don't add branches or kelp or anything like that, but they are allowed to use sand, water, and that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Plot number 7 here is Abe Waterman from PEI, just a little bit north of us. He's finished his man here. It looks like Abe eating some popcorn and watching what we thought was going to be a movie, but yesterday this pound up he had here transformed. It seemed like just instantly.
It was like within an hour, I think. All of a sudden there was this collapsing planet Earth, and very cool effect. And we were talking about the darker sand, the beach sand, and you can see he's actually excavated to go even deeper down to get the really dark sand
Well,
down at the bottom there.
you know, years ago on this beach, they brought some construction sand in to get rid of it and turned the whole beach kind of a pinkish red. And he's gotten down to this stuff
Yeah.
where it's got a little color in it. He's overlaying the globe with these continents. It's a wonderful effect. I really like what he's got
It's
going here
very
with the two people
dramatic.
here, you know,
It's a very
and this
dramatic
guy
effect.
just eating popcorn and watching the whole thing happen.
Well, and that verse up here, let me grab this for a sec. The title of it, I'm walking around, the title is I Just Can't Bring Myself to Care, Dr. Faustus, An Ode to Apathy. There you go. Yeah, so it is very dramatic. That's my, the effect it gives me is dramatic.
And what's nice about it is his thought process is so unique. That's what we love about these artists here, because you don't really see the same thing through here. This is it surprised me that I've never seen anything like this before in sand, and it's nice to have all these different personalities here on the beach.
Yeah, I hope he, I know he will because he's a professional, but finishes up himself sitting in the chair over here.
Yeah, the globe is looking good, but he still has a lot to do on it. Plus, he's got to finish cleaning up the guy sitting in the chair over here. So, yeah,
And
he will. He looks like his nose to the grindstone this morning. So, alrighty.